Welcome to the Cove Show. My name is Jake. And I'm David. We're excited to be here, so thankful to be here with you guys. We got 3 goals we wanted to accomplish with you guys. 1, we want to have some fun together. We know that a lot of people are getting locked up in their homes right now, and they're going stir crazy. So we want to have some fun together. And with that, our second goal is we want to laugh together. We all need a little bit more laughter and fun in our day-to-day. Oh my gosh, and David's making me nervous right there. We need more laughter right there. Sanitize, sanitize, sanitize. And our third goal is to inspire you guys. Guys, we really believe that God has some big things for you guys, and we want to inspire you guys with that. And so we want to share with you what God's put on our hearts and minds.
Yep, absolutely. And make sure that you're following us on social media. So on Instagram, check us out, Shelter Cove HSM for high school, Shelter Cove JHM for junior high. You guys can check us out there. For your parents as well, they can check out our Facebook groups. And have them search Shelter Cove JHM or Shelter Cove HSM parents, and they can get all kinds of information about what is happening in Cove student at Shelter Cove. So love to have you guys join us for that. And then most importantly, what I have absolutely loved, we do our Zoom meetings every Tuesday night. Junior high, we're meeting at 6 o'clock. High school, you guys are starting at 7:30. You can go to sheltercovelive.com and go to the church at home page and then find students, and you'll find our links to the Zoom links there. As far apart as we have been forced to be, doing Zoom and seeing each of your faces up there, it makes my week every single week. So really super excited to be able to do that.
Heck yes, I could not agree more. And with that, guys, we're gonna keep on going with our next segment. We're gonna start telling some jokes, and we're gonna see who could hold in a laugh the longest. So,
Not me.
join us in our next segment.
Bum, bum, bum. So we put water in our mouth, he tells a joke, and if we spit it out, we have to step out.
Mm-hmm. Hey guys, you don't even have water yet. I had a stroke.
Okay.
Okay, next person.
I didn't have to say anything. I was on the phone. I just got new internet. I was on the phone with the guy who was running the internet, and who was like doing my purchase, and they gave you a confirmation number, and he gave me this confirmation number. Hey, don't be mean. Oh no, Kenzie's dying, everybody. So I'm on the phone with this guy, and he starts reading me back the confirmation number, but I didn't have a pen and paper with me, so I just had to I just did what everyone does. I just pretended like I was writing down the confirmation number, and I was just like repeating the number back to him, but not really writing it down. And then he did something at the very end. No one has ever done this before. He said, can you tell me the confirmation number back? And I was like, listen, man, I gotta be honest. I can't do it. I'm so sorry. I was just pretending. And we laughed. Really, it's just a PSA to not do that.
So I'm gonna tell you guys a story about my brother and our tales of awesomeness when we were children. So my father liked to go rock climbing, and he would take us to go rock climbing. And my brother is just a year younger than me, so we're very close in age. So we would go everywhere with my dad. So when we went rock climbing this one time, we went up, and I was maybe 3. Sorry, no, I was 4. He was 3, that's right. And as we're going up, my dad had put my brother in his little backpack thing, climbed up the route there, got up to the top with my brother, and dropped my brother off, and he said, okay, don't go over the rock ledge there, okay? And he said, okay. So as my dad comes down, he says, he gets down to the bottom. All right, so
Mackenzie's
2 are out.
dying.
I'm gonna get these guys out right here. So as my dad's going up the rock face, he all of a sudden feels something hit his head. And it's this big stick that gets thrown on his head, and it rolls off of him, and he's like, what the heck? And he looks up, and there's my brother going, I threw a stick. That's all I got.
I didn't spit out my water. I did swallow it as an inhale, but...
So I don't have any original content. I'm gonna go with the dad joke. Here we go. Today, my son asked, "Can I have a bookmark? Can I have a bookmark?" And I burst into tears. 11 years old, and he still doesn't know my name is Brian.
If it's the three of you, can I share my story?
Yeah.
So, I'm a bit of an airhead. I'm a lot of an airhead, to be honest. And sometimes I see things and then I'm like, "Wah." And we went to Dutch Bros. And this is like my second time being there, mind you. And I get annoyed because they list their drinks, but they don't list what's in their drinks. So then I have to have like extra social conversation with these people that I want to talk to already. And I get nervous. So they're doing this thing where like they come up to your car and Bubba and I are in the car and this really nice guy comes up and Bubba rolls down the window and he's like, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm looking at their drinks and they have one that's really, really like caffeinated and it says 911, okay? I am an airhead. Bubba rolls down the window and I looked that dude in the eyes and said, "Can you tell me what's in your 911 drink?" And it was the most embarrassing thing. And the dude laughed. Now I can't go back there and see him because I keep asking him what's in his 911 drink. It was a 911. And it was bad. If you're wondering, it's like Irish stuff.
Do you want to hear an embarrassing story about me?
Yeah.
So one time, I was at a bounce house, and I was like 12. I ripped my pants in a bounce house. That was pretty funny, and you're not laughing, but I had a stroke. Hey, Jake, just look at me, Jake. Jake, you gotta look at me. Jake, you gotta look at me. Jake, Nathaniel, come here. Nathaniel, come here. Nathaniel, how's your day going? Would you like some water? Oh, would you like some more water, Nathaniel? I would love to. Jake, would you like some more water? Did you swallow your water?
Sounds like a messed up Chewy.
Is that Cardi B?
So, one time at summer camp, I went ahead and was a counselor for my first group of high school students. They were all freshmen at the time, and I was a 19-year-old, just graduated out of high school, college freshman. So, we're at summer camp, and we are going around, we're having a lot of fun. We have to go back up to the cabin, though, and we have to basically change out so we can go get some dinner. And during this dinner time, not dinner time, but during the time that we're changing, we're blah, 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 and I start kind of feeling like, oh, my tummy's a little rumbly there. I'm ready to like go get some food. Little did I know it was not a rumbly for food desire, or desire for food. So anyway, we leave, and as I'm walking out, I feel like, oh, okay, I actually have some gas going on here, and I need to get this out. So I let people go forward ahead of me just a little bit, just to be courteous, just to be nice to everybody. And I go ahead and I let it rip. Now, to my dismay though, what felt like gas was coming out also felt like there was other things coming out. And I had to stop for a second and go, oh no, audibly for everybody, because everybody heard this fart. They turned around and looked at me and saw me mid-stride go, oh no, I need to go back and check my pants. And so all these kids are dying laughing, and I have to go back, and I'm like, oh man, did I really just...
Okay, here we go. Embarrassing story about me from my many years in retail. So, ready? So I'm just making sure you're ready. This water trailer is coming over towards me. I don't appreciate it because I was a dude's mouth. Anyways, retail. Let me tell you about that. I'm cashiering one day. I'm helping this lady out. It's an older lady. You know, I'm just doing my thing, doing the small talk game. You know how I am. I got that small talk game. and I ask her, I say, ma'am, do you have anything going on this weekend? Like, what do you have planned? She's like, oh, I don't have much going on. But while she's doing that, I have to stay focused on my job, right? So I'm like, she has some clothes with some hangers on there. I'm like, do you need these hangers? And she's like, no, I don't need them. So like, I take it out and I put it back. And she goes, what about you? And in my mind, I say, the last thing we talked about was the hangers. So I'm like, no, I don't need these hangers either. And then I proceed to go on like a 5-minute conversation just to myself, pretty much, about these hangers. My best friend is in line after her and goes, no, she's not talking about the hangers. She's asking you about your weekend, if you have anything going on. So I'm talking about, no, I don't need these hangers. I got some at home. I don't even hang up my clothes. But she was just trying to ask about my weekend. So yeah, I did that, and that was really embarrassing. So true story.
Do you guys want to remember? Do you guys want to hear me say the alphabet backwards again? Because I don't want to have to hear that. But you know, I'm going to talk to you about when I had open heart surgery. I was a very ruthless patient. When I was on all those medicines because of the surgery and everything, I bit a nurse. Like, I full on bit her. Like, I got a bracelet that says, stay away from him, and then I also spit her. I spit out, oh gosh, my stroke. I mean, oh god.
Okay, mouth full. Put your water in front of your teeth, closest to your lips. Water stays there. Farts. No, just thought I'd try.
It's worth a shot.
Worth a shot.
Bubba and I are kind of like mean to each other a little bit. And when I was a kid, I was like sophomore in high school, Chris did this thing where he consistently would take, because my mom was a nursing student, so she'd come home with like not needle syringes, but like syringes with salt water in them. And I was having a hard time sleeping at that time because of like life stuff. And Bubba, bless his heart, whatever's left of it, Bubba used to come in my room.
Whatever is left.
That's intense. It's a deep joke.
Bubba used to come in my room and squirt the syringe into my ear.
Oh,
and then wake me up. It was infuriating.
Why would you do that?
And so one day I told him, I said, look, princess, I was like, if you keep doing this, I'm gonna take your guinea pig and I'm gonna put it on your pants. He didn't listen, okay? And Bubba and I went hard. So one night, I managed to stay up. Bubba's out. He's in his room. And I took his little chunky rodent. Are they rodents? Whatever. I took his guinea pig. And while Bubba was asleep, just lifted his pants up and went, but yep.
The front to the back.
The back. He was on his stomach. Okay. So it was on his booty.
That's I got some valid question, you know?
In his pants. And he freaked out. And it wasn't just the guinea pig screaming, but Bubba a little bit too.
The guinea pig was screaming?
Yes, it wasn't happy.
He hated it as much as he did.
Moral of the story. Oof.
Who was it more of a punishment for, though? Bubba or the guinea pig?
Definitely the guinea pig.
I never got the syringe in my ear again.
There you go.
Move, move, move. I don't know.
What did he say, Chris?
Did you say I had a
Chris.
Move.
Yeah.
Move.
Boo or moo?
Move. I had the. Damn it! I just tried to make a joke.
Bubba, you are the
Jake
joke.
is our champion.
Ah! Woo! Thanks for watching with us, making us look like fools, and us torturing each other with water in our mouths. Now we're going to move on into our next game segment. Head, shoulders, knees, cup.
Bum, bum, bum. Just me? Just... Friends, welcome. Head, shoulders, knees, toes, cup, makeup. We're going to play best out of three. Best out of three. The losing person is gonna have the other person apply makeup to them.
Under their arms.
Under their arms. That was a new thing. Close to our eyeballs. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
Cool. Chris, you are our referee. You're the one who says it,
Uh-huh.
and we do what you say.
Toes. Knees. Shoulders. Ears. Eyes. Hair. Shoulders. Toes. Knees. Wrist. Thighs.
What?
Feet.
Different body parts that
Cup.
are. Oh, they're not part of that. Okay, here we go.
It's one.
All right.
Knee. Eyes. Nose. Mouth. Feet.
We can't touch our face.
Feet. Knees. Ears. Cup.
Oh!
Snatched.
Last one.
Okay.
The next winner is a winner, and the loser is a loser.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like I have lost most of these games that we've played.
No, come on.
You're the happy place.
Whatever, let's go.
All right.
Nose. Feet. Nose. Feet. Nose. Feet. Mouth. Shoulder. What, Jake? Knees. Ears. No. Mouth. Nose. Toes. Cup.
Yes, I didn't lose. I had a chance.
Head, shoulders, knees, toes, ears, mouth, nose. Makeup. Jake, makeup. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to touch Jake's face. Oh,
You said you needed a lot.
I mean, like a. I'm about to put makeup on Jake's face. Here we go. We have some face brush. Is that not what it is?
Foundation.
Foundation. We have some lip coloring. It's a good thing. Anyways, we have eyeshadow and then
Eyeshadow.
also eyeshadow.
A nice palette. And the colors.
palette. So, you ready?
No, but okay.
We're gonna ghost style this thing. Let's do the brush, the foundation.
Yes.
Face brush.
Okay, well, you
Yeah.
gotta hold it.
Well, you gotta give it to me in the right order. Okay, I can't see what I'm doing here.
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Is that a lot?
My bad.
Okay, here we go.
Hold still.
I would keep your eyes. You put a lot on there.
Yeah, I know. No.
Gosh. I can smell that. So much powder. I can see the little like fumes coming out.
It might help to dab it, like tap it on the side of the cup.
You're like, yeah, it's like a dust
There
coming
you go.
up.
Sure.
Okay.
I forgot his forehead.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, I really gotta reach
There
up
you
there.
go. Yeah.
Eyeliner?
Eyeshadow.
Eyeshadow?
What color do you want?
Let's find out. Okay.
Isn't that a pigment?
Alright, you can close your eyes.
Yep, spot on.
Yep, that's great.
Jake, do you have any feedback?
I don't know what's going on.
Well, it's supposed to be on your eye.
Not even his eye?
That was his eyebrow.
Eyebrow.
Hey, bonus round doing his eyebrows too.
Next one.
You mean his eye, actually?
Wait, what are you doing?
To switch
are you
up.
switching hands?
Yeah.
No, you're right-handed.
I can't reach your eyeball.
Oh wow.
Okay. There we go. That was good enough for me.
Yeah.
And we have the glittery eyeshadow now.
You really like that glitter, eh?
You might hit his eye this time.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. It's all his eyebrow right now.
Maybe even his cheekbone.
Okay.
Oh, a little bit lower. Lower. Lower.
That's direct brow.
Lower.
Don't go so hard.
You're gonna have some glittery eyebrows.
You gotta dip it in there again.
I was in Wizard of Oz, and I had glitter in my eyebrows for a week.
Well, Jake, good thing you're quarantined.
What? It's always your eyebrow.
Hey!
It's the corner of the eye now.
There it is. I'm not confident about the lipstick.
I'm not confident about any of it. Just in the right.
Oh my gosh, that is
Oh boy.
red.
It'll come off. It's more of a gloss than it is.
Close your mouth, Jake.
Here we go.
Nope.
Close it. No, David.
Definitely not. There it is. There it
You're
is.
getting close.
Jake
Oh,
looks
yeah.
like a very feminine Superman.
That's a compliment, I'd say.
Okay. Gosh.
That's it.
Yep.
Let's take a look at my beautiful creation. Oh, your nose.
It's because we love you guys. You see all this beauty? That's why I don't wear makeup.
Beautiful young lady, Jake. Guys, that was cups, knees, shoulders, heads, toes, ankles, makeup. Meet us back on stage. See you in a bit. Jake, you look like a brand new woman.
Thank you. I feel like a brand new woman. Well, that was a lot of fun for both of us, guys. We hope you guys enjoyed it and laughed along the way. First, we're going to play one more like mini little game here. And so what we are going to need is we're going to need Mackenzie's help with that. We're going to play a game called Would You Rather. So we're going to be asked, would you rather? You guys know the drill. One thing over another. And we're going to see where people lie, where David and I lie on different things. So, Mackenzie, David, you want to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, let's do this.
All right, David. Would you rather have one real get-out-of-jail-free card or a key that opens any door in the world?
For sure, a key that opens any door in the world.
Okay.
Dang.
Don't see myself going to jail anytime soon.
Jake, I like this one, in your history person, so. Would you rather know the history of every object you touched or be able to talk to animals?
So, Dr. Doolittle or... you know what? I saw the new Dr. Doolittle movie and I liked it a lot. And my daughter loves it. Thinks it's hilarious. But I would love to know how a lot of stuff works and how it came to be. So, you know what? I think I want to have the history one where I'd want to know, how was the Yeti made? How was this stuff? I think that's what I would do.
Could you imagine touching the Bible?
Dude, every time you flip over to something and you're like, this is how the Lord brought it to be. Yeah, definitely that.
David, would you rather be able to see 10 minutes into your own future or 10 minutes into the future of anyone else but yourself?
Anyone? Like, do I have to pick one person?
No, I think that means everyone around you except for your own future.
Wow.
I would like to see into the future of other people. I feel like if I knew my own future, I would mess it up somehow.
Would you rather be a reverse Centaur or a reverse Merman?
That is so strange. Wait, what? So like the bottom part of you is human, but the top part is like a weird... What's the top part of a mermaid look like?
A fish!
It's like in Moana, the shark head like... What's the reverse Centaur?
It's a horse.
You'd have human legs with a horse head.
You know what? I would do top half of a merman. Well, that was a fun little game, guys. And Would You Rather is a funny game, and there were some weird, wacky choices that were kind of given to us, and some that were actually really cool, really interesting. And what's interesting about that game is that it's a game where you're given two choices and you can't have both. And I think that's kind of the killer thing, is that they're two really cool things, but you have to choose one thing over the other. And when you look at choices like that, and even choices that could be really little like in that game, or really big in life, choices are an expression of your priorities. So like, for example, when we were doing that game, Would You Rather, and the choice was presented to me, the Centaur and the Merman thing, which is really odd. I chose the Merman because of my desire and enjoyment of being by the ocean. I really like being by the water.
The Merman pop.
Merman pop. That's
it's a good reference.
It is a great reference. Look it up later, kids.
Or not.
And but what made me make that choice was that I just would rather live by the water, by the ocean, than live out in the field as a half centaur. So I chose the Merman thing. Really odd, would you rather thing. But that's how I made my choice. Now, that's a silly little illustration, but when you start kind of breaking it down and looking at even just daily choices or weekly choices or just choices that involve our entire life, whatever we choose kind of expresses, and not kind of, it really expresses the priorities that we have in our life. Whether you are really wanting to get better at your sport, like let's say if you're a football player and you want to get better at your sport, you're going to put maybe extra time in than the other person. If you want to get better at math and you need to take a little bit extra time to do it, that you're going to choose to do so and become an engineer one day. Those are just little things, and those are little choices that we all make and prioritize in our life. And the thing that's interesting is that in student ministry for us, one of the things that we really, what we see and what we watch for you students is you guys make choices based off of the priorities in your life. And what we're going to do is what we wanted to talk about was that today, sometimes we make choices that puts our relationship with Jesus on the back burner. And there's a couple, there's a lot of things that could get in the way of our relationship with Jesus based on our choices, but we're going to look at 3 here today to kind of understand just some basic things that really we feel like people in general and students as well put their relationship with Jesus aside and choose something else and prioritize that.
And the interesting thing about these, when we were talking about this passage, we wanted to hit on things that are good.
Mm-hmm.
We know the bad things that keep us from God, but when you're making these choices and these choices are revealing your priorities, what are the good things that are in your life that are higher than they ought to be? So we're going to talk about those 3 things today.
Totally, absolutely. And so the first thing we're going to look at is money. And this is going to be an interesting one, and we're going to kind of expand it a little bit. But first, I want to read for you guys the passage we're going to work with for this point. And this is out of Matthew chapter 19, and this is verses 21 and 22. This is Jesus talking to a rich young ruler, a guy who has it all, who comes to Jesus and he says, "Hey, Jesus, tell me, what do I need to do to get into heaven?" And so Jesus lists off a couple things, and then we get to verse 21, where him and this rich man come to a head in their conversation. In verse 21, it says this: Jesus said to him, "If you would be perfect, go sell what you possess and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven, and come follow me." When the young man heard this, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. Now, what's interesting about that passage, and like what David is saying, is that there is nothing wrong with having possessions. There is nothing wrong with having wealth or money or any kind of material thing. We are blessed in an age where we could have water in a nice little container like this that's fresh, that's refreshing, and we don't have to go and scrounge for fresh water somewhere. We also have things that help us fight off bacteria and disease and viruses and all that kind of thing. Not a whole lot of people in history have ever had the things that we have access to. And it's not wrong to want or to even need these different things. But sometimes if we don't watch ourselves, we could let these things get prioritized above Jesus. And so here, this is a great example where this guy is saying okay, Jesus, what do I need to get into heaven? And Jesus is saying, and he's testing out his heart here. He's really testing out is this guy for real? Because this young ruler has given Jesus the right answers over and over again. And that's something I think we do all the time. We give the right church answers in different situations. And here, Jesus brings it to a head and he says, okay, then if you really want to follow me, sell everything and come follow me. And that was really hard for him to do, and he had to walk away. But the trade-off was that there were riches in heaven that Jesus was promising him. And guys, the thing that's really hard, for us on the daily is that we kind of get sidetracked. We see something glitter or sparkle, and we want to go after it. And a lot of times we're focused on Jesus, and then for a split second, boom, the new iPhone 12 gets a hold of us, and we're like, oh, I gotta focus on this, and all of your focus and all of your attention goes on that. And so what we want to kind of just put a light on, guys, is just to realize that there are things like that will take our focus away from Jesus, and we can get fixated on it. And so we want to caution you to not be fixated on those things.
The next thing is simply family. And if I'm being real honest, like, this is the one that when we put this together, that stung me the most. Because I remember when I was y'all's age, and I remember saying, man, if I just had a wife and kids, that will make me happy. I remember saying that. And just thinking that these are the things, my wife, my kids, these are going to satisfy me. And even now in my life, I find myself struggling with putting my family above my God. And there's a passage in Luke chapter 14, verses 26 and 27. In this passage in Luke, every once in a while, Jesus would come out and there'd be lots of people following him. And then he'd say something outlandish like what he's about to say in Luke. And whenever he says things like this, people seem to stop following him after he said these things. So let's take a look in Luke 14. This is what he said. He said, if anyone comes to me and does not hate his own father and mother and wife and children and brothers and sisters, yes, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not bear his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. Man, gosh, that's hard words. That's hard words. Like, we have to hate our father and mother. And here's what I want you to know. Jesus is speaking intentionally with hyperbole. Hyperbole is like exaggerated voice. He's not saying that you have to hate your father and mother literally, but he's saying this, that the love that you have for me, the love that you have, the desire that you have to follow me, to do the things that I tell you to do, those things need to be so much in first place in your life that compared to your love for me, your love for everyone else pales in comparison. So is your love for God that strong that when people look at you, they think, man, that person loves Jesus? Is that their first thought when they see you? I'm saying that knowing that I'm looking at my own life and saying that's probably not the first thought that people say when they see me. So I'm saying that as a challenge to you, and I'm saying that as a challenge to me, that we need to take our priorities and above our closest relationships. And maybe you're like, man, my family life sucks. I don't mind hating my father. Think about your closest friends. Think about your closest relatives, your grandma, your grandpa, whoever it is, and compare that with the Lord. And are you putting them above God? And friends, as difficult as this is, we have to choose, right? Our choices decide our priorities. And we need to be able to say yes to Jesus, and we need to be able to not worry about the consequences of following Christ, even when our family is looking at us like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Sometimes Jesus asks us to do things that don't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, definitely. And so we are going to wrap up with our third point here, reputation. And money, possessions, family, and can definitely get in the way. When we were thinking about this, we thought of, for this particular passage and for this particular point, we really thought for high school and middle school students that this is something we all struggle with, and it doesn't go away. That's what's hard, is that we want to have a good reputation. We want to be accepted. We want to be wanted. We want to be needed by other people. And it is really hard when when we don't feel like we are towards other, like when we don't feel wanted, whether it's with family or with friends or with just random strangers. We want to feel like we belong somewhere.
Like Instagram followers and
oh my gosh,
Snapchat streaks.
Totally, yeah. I mean, and we really, really prize and value that above everything else. And I think it's safe to say that this may be the one thing that our just students in general struggle with the most. And I want to read this one passage to you guys. And again, reputation and this desire doesn't go away when you're an adult. It kind of just it gets different, you know? It morphs into something else, but the truth in here definitely stayed the same, and it applies to everybody. But here in Mark 10, verses 43 through 45, it says this. This is Jesus talking, and he's talking to his disciples when two of them actually make a request to sit at his right hand and his left hand, because at this time these guys feel like Jesus is going to go, he's going to beat out the Romans, he's going to create a kingdom here on earth, he's going to do all these crazy things, and so these guys want to take part in the spoils. They want a seat at the table. They want a little bit of power, they want a little bit of reputation to go along with following Jesus. And so Jesus says something totally different though, and spins our expectations and the world's expectations of what greatness is, period, and he changes it to look like this. In verse 43 it says this, "But it shall not be so among you, but whoever would be great among you must be your servant, and whoever would be first among you must be slave of all. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." And guys, here's what's interesting and what basically is happening. Jesus is saying, look, it's not about sitting at the table. It's not about having a good reputation. It's not about looking good in the eyes of the world, in the eyes of your friends, in the eyes of your family, in the eyes of just random strangers. What matters is how you look to God. And as far as Jesus is concerned, it's not about bringing glory to yourself or bringing fame to yourself. It's about actually serving others. And that's what was so different here. When you look at this, these disciples were blown away. They had no idea what was going to come out of Jesus' mouth. And this rocked their world because it wasn't about making yourself look good. It wasn't about you. It was about the other person, whoever that was. And when you look at the rest of the Gospels, that's what Jesus was all about. He was all about healing other people. He was all about teaching other people. He was all about loving other people, people who were completely cast off as the lost, as the least, as the people that were totally dejected and outcasts. Jesus went after those people and he served them. And I mean, the greatest thing, in my opinion, when you look at how he served, was on his deathbed. In John 13 it says, when he knew that he was going to go to the cross, he went ahead, got up from the Last Supper, and he started washing the disciples' feet. And that just blows my mind and rocks me, because the Son of God, the God of this entire universe, said, you know what, for my last great act here on earth, I'm going to wash my friends' feet. That's the kind of reputation that God is looking for, not all these other things that the world thinks, but it's different. Jesus is more concerned about us loving each other and loving each other well. And that could come out in so many different ways. And I know that right now things are a little haywire and different in our normal schedule, and situations and routines are totally upended. But man, this is a great way to get creative and ask yourself, how can I love and how can I serve another person? How can I be a light in this time? And how can I ultimately take that pride and that desire for a reputation to bring that down and have a desire to be like Christ?
I think if we could boil it down, right? So we have money, we have family, we have our status, our reputation, this like We have these things that we prioritize in life, and maybe those aren't your priorities. Maybe you have other things. But if we could sum all of it up into just one thing, I think we want life. I think that we want to live. And when we were talking about this message, we were considering naming it "The Deconstruction of the American Dream," and we chose against it. But there's this idea that we should have a certain life, that we should have 2.5 kids. I don't know what 0.5 of a kid means, but we should have a white picket fence, or whatever it is, that we should have money in the bank, and we should have this perfect looking family on Instagram, and like we have these standards that have been set by our society of the things that are important, and when you look at those in contrast to Scripture, we see that they don't line up to what Jesus says is important. We want life, and if we want life, then we need to find out how we can get life. And I think without food and without water, we can't live. And if our hoarding of toilet paper and all of the chicken breasts in the world are any indication during this time, we desire to eat. We have this, we hoard up this food and compile it, and we want food. But here's where I want to take you guys with that. In the book of John, chapter 6, verses 66 through 69, it says this. It says, "After this, many of his disciples turned back and no longer walked with him." Why did they walk away? Why, after this many disciples heard and they walked away from him, what did he say right before that to make them walk away? This is what he said in verse 35. It says, "Jesus said to them, 'I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me shall not hunger, and whoever believes in me shall never thirst.'" Now, what he's saying in this thing, and he goes on to say a whole lot more, but he's saying right here that if you want life, if you want to live, if you want to eat, and if you want to drink, if you desire, long for life, then you come to Jesus, who will satisfy that hunger and that thirst. And we pick up in verse 67, and he says this. "So Jesus said to the 12, 'Do you want to go as well?' Simon Peter answered him, 'Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life, and we have believed and have come to know that you are the Holy One of God.'" So after everything that the disciples have heard, after everything that the disciples have been challenged with to change their priorities, Jesus says, "Hey, what are you going to do? Are you going to leave like those guys?" But the disciples, they've tasted and seen that he's good. They know that he is the true God. And their response was, "Where are we going to go? What else matters? Like, Jesus, you are it. You are the only thing that matters in this world. And if we were to go anywhere else, we would just leave ourselves hungry and thirsty." And friends, in your hearts, in your lives, I just want you to know that you have a choice. And this choice that you have to make is going to display your priorities. And you need to decide whether or not you believe that Jesus is going to satisfy your soul. That's your choice. And if you say yes, then friends, know that you will never hunger and you will never thirst again if you walk with Jesus. But if you say no, you will continue to look for that thing. And you will look for it in people, you will look for it in substances, you will look for it in addictions, you will look for it all over, and you won't find it. Because Jesus is the only one that can fill your soul and make you no longer hunger and no longer thirst. Let's pray. Jesus, as we are watching this, as we are talking through this, God, I pray that your Holy Spirit would stir in a fire inside of our souls so that we would have a passion for faith in you. That you would just draw out through the power of your Holy Spirit, draw out just a new desire to seek you, a new passion to follow you. And in our hearts, God, help us, to find our satisfaction in you and you alone, and not in our money, not in our status, and God, not in our families. God, we love you and we pray these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Hey guys, we are so thankful for you, and we know that this was maybe a hard pill to swallow, and for some of us, maybe we're kind of thinking through, like, oh man, like there's some hard-hitting truth there. Listen, we're here for you guys, and we are not doing a one-stop shop here. We are here to connect with you guys, and we know we can't connect personally, like face-to-face, but we want to connect with you guys during the week through Instagram, through Facebook, through the Zoom meetings, through any kind of text or phone call. Like, we will take it. We'll FaceTime you guys because we want to connect with you. We want to work through this with you because we love you guys, and we want to walk through and walk alongside you in your faith and help you come to a place where you're pursuing Jesus with your entire heart and with all that you are. So with that, that's all we've got here for today.
That's it.
Yeah, we love you guys so much, and we will see you guys at our next episode.